What is going on, YouTube world? The Dave Insert Revolution podcast number 44. Um, Tonight we're going to talk about card technologies that we enjoy, and maybe we haven't communicated, which that's all right. Usually we've got cards within arm's reach. I figured Steve might pull some just to have some examples. I've got a few. We'll go on the types of cards, and then maybe we'll go like certain cards that we enjoy as well, like particular parallels or of that sort. I mean, it's wherever the conversation goes, it goes. I figured a more knowledge based episode about particular cards instead of going on the discussion route, which it's fine, but it's always nice to get something in there to go back to our roots, go back to what we love about the hobby. Besides the relationships, it's obviously the cards, because we've stuck it out for a multitude of years. What's going on, Yannick?
Yeah, my examples may be limited. I was planning on jotting down a few things and then potentially grabbing a couple things prior to, but yeah, that didn't happen, unfortunately, due to some other stuff.
What's going on, Bobby? Ty.
What's going on, Bobby? Ty. Have fun tonight, Bobby.
Yes.
In an hour, I guess.
Have fun. Fun.
Fun. Fun.
Yeah. That was something this weekend I didn't really jump in on, was that I signed up for it. A little while was that expo, the sports expo. I don't know. By this point in time, and this it's going to be pretty tough, Bobby. I'm just going to say that right now. It's going to be pretty tough to support you tonight. Pretty tough. By this point in time, I know who in the hobby will look out for me. And again, it's going to sound so bad, but it's just a reality of the situation. For the guys I'm looking for card-wise, if I'm going into that situation with the virtual expo, I know a couple guys there. I wouldn't say I'm close friends with them by any stretch of the imagination, but again, they know who I collect. But by this point in time, guess what? It's not even one of those guys decided to go against us in some other regards, knowing that stuff was going on. So it's just like, you know what? People don't want to contact me for the guys I put up, and I don't expect them to. If they think of me, that's great. If not, that's fine too. Then I know where to allocate the funds, card wise, the friendship wise. You look at that too from that angle, and it just, I don't know. I've hung out a little bit there, and I know I saw Bobby there for a little bit. I think that was it. I didn't even see Carlos. I didn't see Carlos on there, and usually the last couple we've been in the rooms. I know the first one last June, I think, it might have been Carlos and I a little bit in Jeremy's room, and then I think he was with Amit in Amit's room, and then we just BS'd for a good hour. So, but that was the thing. You can't, unless you're, I think, the person that had the room, you can't pull that audio and the video, which means where we had some great discussions and great topics there to help, like we do on Tuesday nights at 7:05 Central Standard Time, and then Friday nights at 8:30 Central Standard Time, pending a possible pushback to an earlier hour on the Insert Revolution podcast channel on YouTube, and because I'm Carlos, his YouTube channel. We can flow. We can navigate without a lot of dead air and ums and just sort of like looking at the camera and nodding our head. We can keep that conversation going no matter who's in the room. So that I know back then helped, but I don't know. Now if you just the tides change a little bit, and it's like, well, whatever. You move on. You know who's behind you in your corner, and sometimes who you think is isn't. And I'm not referring to those guys, but I'm just saying in general, you sort of as the days go by, you sort of see who's on your team and who's not. What's up, Rob?
Sorry, I'm catching mosquitoes here.
I feel it.
Talked about it last time. They're bad. I'm waiting for them to carry me off.
Thankfully, we've had a resurgence of like October weather. A couple days ago, it rained, and then yesterday the high was like 58, 59.
We didn't get that cool. I think yesterday the high came earlier in the day until the cold front came through, dropped the temperatures quite a bit. We were in the 60s this morning, so it's been a fairly pleasant day. But we will be warming up again throughout the week. So it was a nice little break in the high humidity. It's not that it's been super hot. It's the humidity has been bad. Actually, I should say worse than normal. When you have, heat indexes of 100, 101, 102, it does make it a little nasty outside. But, I digress. I live in Texas. It's the given. So lived here all my life. It's not like I can. It's not like I can change anything unless I move. What's going on LA Pats?
What's going on?
So yeah.
There's a sponsor tonight, Coors. Tapping for the Rockies.
Yeah, back to Coors Light again. I finished off all the Bud Light the other night, so we could go back to our normal sponsor.
Which is good.
Trying to be consistent, but sometimes it doesn't always work that way.
At least it's beer, and you're not jumping into like a bottle of wine where I couldn't even pronounce it. So some or whatever. It's just like
That's a thought for a future episode. The only problem is I don't like wine, so I don't think that's ever going to happen.
I'm in the same.
And I don't ever get any of the makers that my wife buys anymore. She usually kills the bottle before I get any of it. So, and I would just like to go on record. I know I've mentioned this before, but as we're coming up on July, it's only 2 months until Yuengling becomes available in the state of Texas. So it is a possibility that we may have a new sponsor depending on how I like it. So,
well, maybe some of the old crew will jump on then, because I know Denny was a big proponent of that. Chris was. I want to say pretty much anybody that went out to Baltimore in 2010, and once they got a taste of that, it was pretty much curtains for them. That's all they'd talk about.
Yep. I would agree with that.
And I'll say this. I don't know if Chris will watch this at all, but I sent you the picture.
I did. I saw it.
Congratulate him, his son, getting engaged. We got to see him pretty much, not the last few years so much, but pretty much from 2010 to 16 or so, 15 or 16. Grow up. So,
yep.
Used to be a collector, but I don't think he does much of that anymore. Maybe once in a while, but maybe regular times he pick up a pack or a blaster maybe and just sort of putts around with it, but that not like it used to be where he was really wanting to be their dad and checking out the cards. And so good on him. Congrats, Austin. I'm sure you won't see this, but I want to make sure that that's known.
Yeah, since I'm never on Facebook, I would have never seen it. So thank you for sharing. And I will second the sentiment. A big congratulations to him. Uh, Hopefully they give it some time before Chris becomes a pawpaw, a grandpa.
Yeah, that
But
practice makes perfect. Practice safely, safely, because they're great, but they're a lot of money and it's a lot of work on multiple levels. So
and they get to be more work the older they get.
this is very much correct.
Yeah, you're still early on there, Dave. You still have a few years. Wait until they hit the teenage years. Then it becomes great. Let me tell you.
She's a month out from being 11, so that's it's gradually creeping quicker and quicker.
And it's crazy to think the early videos after she was born.
Mm-hmm.
But it's no different for me. I mean, I have a few videos up that everybody can see how much my kid's grown over the years, although they don't pop in as often. You'll get, a partial glimpse when I get a random hug or whatnot. But
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, it's a good keepsake from that standpoint to actually have an opportunity to not see it just in pictures, but to see it in video. Hearing them talk about certain things, the interactions, that type of stuff, that you don't get, in a picture. So I go back and watch from time to time. remember the simpler times, I guess. It's just the not so complex times.
Yes. Have you picked anything up lately, or has anything worked been in the works for the past week or so?
I have one thing coming in. Uh, I've only shared it with two people, so I'm not going to spoil it. Uh, I am supposed to get it before the end of June, so at least there will be a video in July for a pickup in June. As I've said before, I've been very selective. I'm still watching a lot of things. Uh, I'm watching, some softening on a few cards for some of my sets. So I'm going to wait it out and see if there starts becoming a little bit more of a consistency from a couple of cards perspective. And I've been focusing really on the one set just because there's two key cards for the one set that I'm trying to knock out. I don't want to spoil it in the event that those cards come in, or I end up picking them up in the near future. I'd like for some of them to be a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
But the card coming in, it's not playing year, so it doesn't fit really the trend as of late of what I've shown for a lot of the pickups. It is a newer card, but it is numbered to 5, so it'd be nice to get that in hand. Kind of make that rainbow a little bit closer, I guess. I don't think it'll never be 100% complete because I've never seen the specific one of one.
Okay.
It's got like 5.
Yeah.
So, and since the brand, Dave, you know that there's 5 one-of-ones. I do have one, but as far as like the base parallel one-of-one, I've never seen it. I've seen the base parallel autograph. I've seen that one,
Mm-hmm.
and that sold some time ago. And I decided to not bid as strong on that one and went for my black finite. So I think it was the wise decision from that perspective to go after the black finite and quote unquote complete the 2 one-of-ones from that year of Prism, and then I'll eventually close that one off and complete that rainbow. It's just not high on the priority list at the moment.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I'm window shopping a lot these days.
Yeah, there's been, again, that watch list is always full. I mean, it's, I think, down under three 375 now because I still have about 30 or 35 completed or sold or whatever, just because I can't let them go. There's stuff that's either like ones I wanted or stuff that's interesting to me. I put a number on a Patrick Ewing StarQuest Gold the other day. I was like, oh, see where this goes. I knew I wouldn't get it, but I was watching the end of it, and I'm like, okay, it's at like 590. I'm like, this is like a $1,500 card. Probably more a year ago, 6 months ago. I still think those are going to be ones. And again, it was a PSA 10, so that for that is insane because they have a lot of issues with the foil and a lot of issues with the back with chipping.
Yep.
And it was a PWCC auction, so I'm like, it's got the view power, or the people are going to tune in for it. And again, you get the keyword of StarQuest Gold. Pretty much anything will be looked at. So watch that. It went to 625. Then I think it was like 1318, and then I'm like, if it doesn't hit 1500, I was saying this like the last minute. Like it somebody's getting a deal, and 1525 or 1550, I think it went for. So like that's still for me undervalued for the set, considering rarity and the grade, which we rarely talk about like in that regard. But with a lot of these inserts, you had chipping, a lot of chipping. So you get a PSA 10. I'm sure the pop report, as people would like to say, probably 1 to 2. I can't imagine a ton. I don't know if that was even notated in the auction because, again, that none of that mattered because I love Patrick Ewing. That's the huge volleyball knee pads from the 90s. That's all I remember. The huge, huge knee pads and him getting dunked on by pretty much everyone, but he was still a super athletic player in his earlier years. So if I could have got it for about the bid I had or a little more, I would have been happy. But 1500, no. I'm well out after probably like 800. I was just like, I think I put like 350 or 4, and I'm like, that's a lot, but for a 10, nah. Okay.
Well, if it's a price you'd be comfortable willing to pay in the event that it does happen and you get lucky, why not? Why not take a chance? Because you just don't know. But we all know the secret. You would have gone to $10,000. We know you have it, Dave. You just you didn't want that card enough. So why be quiet? I mean, we got to get this information out there. I mean, geez, come on. We know you're rolling in Doge. Ouch. Yeah,
that's a good feeling. It's almost pop up.
Yeah, to have that all within a man, yeah, that hurts. Ouch. That's a big ouch. Did you go after at least one? Or did you just let them all go because you knew there wasn't a chance?
Yeah, no. Four finites, a super,
A super,
and a super and optic gold vinyl. That's
that's and I can go back, it's been a few years, probably 10, to where it wasn't that many, but even just from a my main focus, when you have 2 or 3 1-on-1s that pop up at the same time and they're really ones that you want, and you're going, yeah, no matter how I look at this and knowing what I would normally pay for something like that, it's like, okay, I can definitely go for one. I may be able to get two if it just falls in my lap, but to go after all three, it's like you have to make those choices. Yeah, that's tough. That is super tough, especially if you budget. And from that perspective, to have it all happen in 1 week, and if you stay within your budget, kudos to you. But in situations like that, sometimes the budget may go out the window to a certain degree. But then you leave yourself nothing for the rest of the month if you actually leverage a budget for what you spend on a monthly basis. Lately, I have no budget because, like I said, I haven't really been going after a whole lot of stuff. Some of which I regret because there was 3 or 4 cards I think that I consistently had on my watch list, and the seller kept dropping the starting bid, and I didn't go after a couple of them, and it's one of those that it's like, shoot, I should have just done it, because they had ended the week prior for the same starting bid as what they relisted it for, and then somebody, of course, bid on them. So it is what it is. There's always those situations. It's not like an opportunity potentially wouldn't present itself later on. Their cards numbered to 100, so they're not super rare, but difficult, yes. So let's hope that patience does pay off at some point.
What's going on, Joe? What's going on, Josh? Yeah, there's been some of that Brodeur stuff, and I just keep telling myself as I click it off the watch list after somebody buys it, I'm like, you've had a chance. We've said it before in multiple episodes. When stuff like that is bought, especially from like a Burbank or any of these other big consignor type things or shops that have the huge inventory, even like a ComC, no matter what you do, if you want it chipped out and wait 6 months, 6 years, 6 decades, or you're just going to let it sit until they get like 2 or 3 buildings you can see from space, and then maybe like a little robot that you can see walking from each building, like card to each employee so they can pack it up. When you see something on there, we've always said if it's something that really tickles your fancy, you're like, I really like this, the price is about where I'd want to pay. I really don't want to dicker. I just want to get it because I've seen it before, waited, it's went up, it's come back down maybe a little. Just get it. If you can make it happen, get it. Be done with it, especially if it's one of those top 10, top 25 cards or something that you're just going to be like, oh, if I lose out on this, even if it's not up there, it's something you don't see. Get it. If funds allow you to get it. I mean, nobody yet except Ed Cryptogriff has found the money tree. So that we've said it many times. I will keep on saying it. Steve will keep on saying it, especially if it's something you really like or you're trying to put together, like let's say an old Pacific private stock rainbow, maybe an Omega rainbow, maybe an old Topps Chrome rainbow. Hammer that out when you can, because otherwise it's a tough pill to swallow. I mean, LA Pats with you and the Edelmans and the Gronks. I mean, you got to be pulling money from kidneys everywhere in your area. I mean, you got to go outside your county lines to get some, because that's
allegedly. Had to get the allegedly in there before you went too far. We got to stay true to form, Dave. We got to stay true to form.
Allegedly, that kidney money is good. Allegedly.
Only Dave would know. Allegedly.
Correct. Yeah, finally I got this one in, which again, it wasn't anything I needed, but I don't know what his prices are, but if I got it for something cheap, obviously they've come down quite a bit. And again, not a huge fan of the Panini no logos, but here they do a good enough job where it's not super noticeable unless it's in the hat. That's a Kershaw Gold Prism, and I think I got that for like $15, somewhere in there, $13, somewhere. It wasn't much. So I mean, that's an easy flip can right there. I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna buy it this table, go to the next one, sell it, done. I make $20. It's $20 I could put something liquid, more liquid. And then
Seriously, Dave. Seriously. You have to go there.
that's our new norm.
No, it's not our new norm. It's everybody else's norm. Let's get it right. Let's call it like it is.
This is my second copy of this card. Again, it won't grade. I don't think a Gem Mint 10. That's fine. Not gonna grade it. I don't even remember. This was, I think, like another $30-ish, which to 5. Again, I wish it was the actual mirror emerald. I'm much more excited about the mirror emerald instead of like the totally certified emerald. But again, you can only do so much. And then this one, which took a month to get here, but it didn't matter. I just wanted it to get here. Little whiting on the corner up here, but I think the stated print run was 12 on
Yeah,
that.
that's another nice add too, Dave.
And then compared to what Carlos bid up for his and shockingly lost, and then the second copy sold for the same that wasn't listed, and what I got that for was about a fifth of what he lost that Madonna for, and I still can't believe that. Where Wah went for I think like 300. Pavel Dimitra I think was like a ton too. I think he was like 200 plus. Palfi, of course, he's the GOAT. He had a healthy number of like 125, which is still way under. But to get that for what I got it for and what I had it for a high bid, those are the times you have to feel good because you're like, oh, and I don't subscribe to the theory, well, now I've got X amount to play with because that was subtracted from the actual bid from my high bid. That's just fool's math. But you sit there and you're like, oh, well, that's a relief because I would have paid max bid for it, obviously, but when you can get it for so far under, and then you've had other times when your max bid is stupid and you still lose, it's like, is this everything sort of working itself out to even everything out, or what? That I remember that SPX Duo View auto where I bid 350 on it and still lost. I couldn't believe that. Like, what's going on here? So it was nice to win one of those and not have to get that Brinks truck out and back it up. So those are just 3. I've got a stack of stuff. I got to shoot a video either maybe tomorrow or Thursday and get that out. So.
Oh, and before I forget, we may miss out on Paul for a few weeks. He's traveling for business yet again, going further north than Alaska. So he reached out to me today on Instagram just to kind of let me know. He said he was going to try, but at a minimum, I told him it's like, hey, thanks for at least letting us know, so we're not wondering if everything's okay.
Yeah. I saw some what do you have? He posted a picture, I think, on Facebook of a picture of a picture in the hotel room wherever he was at. So I'm like, huh. So yeah, it's on its way, Paul. Let me know when it gets there. Um, of course, the thing I found later that day,
Of course you did, Dave. Of course.
and I'm just like, you gotta fucking be kidding me. So
That's just that's
eventually,
just your luck.
it's been. I'm trying to look for a couple other things too, and I don't know where they're at. I just have no clue, and I've scoured through all the piles of cards that are around the boxes, the drawers, they're the lettered boxes. I'm like, where did they go? So
In,
of course,
in
that
into Pandora's box. Oh wait, we said that we weren't going to go that route again. I forgot. Sorry.
sometimes people go into Pandora's box and they never return, or they just return a different change soul.
I sometimes I wonder about us, Dave.
I think most people do.
No, that's okay. At least we have a devout following. We could be the next cult leaders of. We're going to call it IRP, and we'll see what happens. Okay, maybe that's a little extreme.
I do hear there's a lot of ranches around in Texas. Maybe if we get one near Waco, I heard there's a nice plot of land.
Yeah, there's that land is probably still there. I would think.
Maybe
It's
a,
good. It's a good
little,
possibility.
a little singed, but that's all right.
Well, we can rebuild. It'll just cost us more because the lumber, but maybe we can import it from overseas and maybe save some money.
Well, that's what the Discord is for, and OnlyFans and all
Oh
that.
yeah, I forgot about that. The only problem is we only have one subscriber to the OnlyFans, and I'll leave that person unknown at this point in time. I don't know where I was going to go with that, but my mind started going. I'm like, oh, I'm getting ready to go down a rabbit hole. I think it's time to shut up now.
Might be wise, might be. Allegedly.
Oh, that could have gone so many different ways. Oh, jeez. So we've rambled on for 30 minutes, which is the norm for us, it seems. I am disappointed in myself. Like I said, I did seriously plan on jotting down a few things because I wanted to make sure that between the two of us we could go over as much of the technology as what could come to mind, so to speak. And then pull some potential examples out of the Terrell Davis collection, which is buried. So I'll be looking through some other stacks potentially to share some. Who is this guy?
I
What's
don't know.
going on? What's going on, Mark?
I think Mark's they got to prep for Hobby Palooza.
Right. Hey, all this stuff is copyrighted. You can't steal any of it. I'm just going to go and throw it out there. There's grumblings in the community that there are other channels that seem to be ripping off conversation pieces from a few other podcasts that happen on Tuesday and Friday as of late. So we'll be watching. We'll be watching you, Mark. But no, I seriously wanted to pull some, but like I said, today sucked major ass in more ways than one. I won't go into details by any stretch of the imagination, but I may have a few partial examples of a few things that I can pull out based on what gets brought up from a technology perspective.
Are they living, Mark? Because last year they weren't living. They need to be alive.
Yeah, I think they croaked last year.
About halfway through, the whole lot of them went down.
Oh, God. These are great text messages. This is the first one I've ever seen of these. Here, let me read this to you. You know, these lovely random, spam texts to try and get you
Mhm.
to. Hi, I'm Jane. I want to inform you that your credit score has had 4 huge negative changes in the past 3 days. I suggest you look at these developments immediately. More info at whatever. It's really? Really.
I got one today too, but mine was from Sammy.
Oh, so Sammy and Jane. Anybody else get one of those today? Take it easy, Bobby. Hopefully,
Yeah, good luck,
good
Bobby.
good luck. Have a good show. Feel free to stop by when you're finished.
That might be your no-dos for the night.
Strong as bull. Can you confirm that? Strong as bull. So, Dave, I'll let you kick us off with the first one. I didn't know if we wanted to go through this as like your favorite or my favorite, and then kind of take it from there, or do we just want to do in general?
We can do in general, and as we go along, list like, hey, most people I think out there that have listened to me ramble, if they haven't fallen asleep, um, they know what the favorite is. If not, I mean, I'll say it. It's not going to be a shock, but I've got. You can see me behind there.
See the finger?
Yeah, Ricky Russo.
So Dave's going with acetate, which
Because
is
the one I remember, and again, we'll talk a little about foil later on, but that was the most widely available in, oh, what was it, 93, 94. I remember because I bought a lot of the classic products. I bought a lot of the classic basketball because I was a Weber Penny Hardaway fan. Jamal Mashburn did well as out of that group, and Sean Bradley was sort of like your, I won't say freak show, but that's basically what it was, 7'6" or 80 pounds or whatever. And so people are interested to see where that went. And
Opie
then
on sticks.
yeah, just the human pogo stick without the jumping ability. So you had the acetates in there, and then hockey. That was like the Paul Korea draft. So they had, I think, I want to say 1 or 2 different sets in that classic draft because Dag was in there too. So that was anytime you had a big number 1 pick, an offensive juggernaut, Alexander Dag. I bought probably a couple boxes worth loosely from the card shop and pulled a few of those, like Chris Pronger, I think, or Chris Gratton was in there. Um, I think I got the Dag. I eventually got a couple more, but um, just to have a card where you could sort of flex it. I mean, not just crunch it, but I mean you could flex and nothing would happen. Like that, it just as a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, like that's pretty cool. That I like that. So that and it's just the see through and it's super condition sensitive. You don't sleeve it up and scratch the shit out of it. So again, if you got one that looks like it's been drug along the street, nobody wants it. If it's in nice condition, it even if it's a nobody, that's always been something I've gravitated towards. I mean, you just saw out of those guys, I collect Frank Thomas, still have Forsberg and Sakic, but I mean Favre, I collect a little of him when I can. But Thomas, this was probably one without buying or without selling a bunch of those cards, I would have never even thought about purchasing because again, I think it was like a $55 card. Without that extra money, that's a card that sort of sits on the sideline. The Favre was like 30, which is criminal because that's another case hit. think I had like an Eddie George out of there. I don't think I bought the Brunel. I wanted to, but that snapped up quickly. But acetate has always just been. I mean, and then the Pinnacle. I've got the Piazza. I didn't dig that out, but it's got like I think the hell Skylines. That's another big insert from '96 Pinnacle. But I love the foil on there. It's when you start layering like that this way. The EX, I know the EX 97 sort of has that technology too, where you have that sort of foil, or you have it like the holographic sort of prismatic. I don't even know what that border is with the acetate in the middle. So I mean, if you incorporate it well, no matter who it is, people seem to gravitate just because it's aesthetically appealing. So, not that it's any shock or major revelation, but yeah, acetate obviously was going to be my first one.
Well, so go ahead and finish your call.
Just because that's where the cards. I mean, cards were cool before, but you get that you just. It's like Mario going from little Mario when he starts to getting like the Fire Mario or the raccoon where you can fly. It's like that's a whole new game. That's a whole new game there.
So I'm going to start mine by saying, and most of this shouldn't be a surprise to a lot of people either, I wouldn't think. But I've got to start it with the basis of chrome/chromium technology is what started refractors. And I'm not going to go as far as various color refractors. I'm not going to go to that extent. But chrome/chromium technology was the basis to allow for the refractor to become in existence, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I do like atomics outside of base chrome refractors.
Mm-hmm.
But just the regular chrome refractor, it's because I've always been a Topps Chrome guy. When it first came out in '96, I've always kind of moved towards refractors, whether it be Topps Chrome, Bowman Chrome. I know there's others, but those are escaping me at the moment. But those are always the big ones. I'm not going down the path of Stadium Club Chrome and some of the other ones as those kind of came out later. But chrome refractors have always been a staple of mine as far as I'm concerned, and by far always been one of my favorite technologies to ever come out. To me, yes, you have the prisms and things along those lines, but in my opinion, they will never be the same
Mm-hmm.
on the same level as a chrome refractor. That's just my opinion. Others may agree, others may disagree, but I will always stand behind that. So my number one is refractors.
And Sanderson to Orwer. I won't say, like I said at the beginning, I don't want to say we're dumbing it down because we're not. We're getting back to the roots of what the podcast sort of was envisioned as, talking about '90s cards, mostly football. Even though last year plus I've been really deep into hockey. So tonight we're just talking about technologies of cards. Like, do you like base cards? Do you like die cuts? Do you like this, that, or the other? And we're going right now, sort of giving a few examples here and there, but just going through that and just something different, something not as controversial as we usually go down or whatnot, but still something very relevant. give some examples to people that may not have seen some of these types of cards, and just showing off cards, which we rarely seem to do, which that's fine. Nothing wrong with that, but just make sure we get a couple episodes here. Because I think there'll be one next week, the week after. He's sort of card centric as well, so just want to get the cards out there as well, because we usually ramble on about other topics ad nauseum. So tonight more of a hobby centric from the card perspective. The next one, it's sort of in that same vein as acetate, and again, any one of those could be that I showed, but I like the multi-layering. Like I said, with the EX and some of these copies, I think do more for that multi-layering. Maybe not the Korea or the Solani, but when you have the card, you got the foil and the acetate on top. But these next two will be probably better examples of that. The Title Quest, where you have that complete foil outlier, and then the acetate middle, and then serial numbering. And then out of Diamond Producers and the Fleer Ultra product 99, where you have embossed, die cut, sort of an atomic refractor finish, and acetate. So you've got a virtual cornucopia of technology on this one card, the layered stuff. Not Gerald Laird, the old catcher for the Rangers, but and the foil, a little gold foil down there too. So I mean, there's names at, but yeah, it's cards like that where you go from the acetates, you go from the refractors, and you hit that. It's like, well, you're just like, it's basically dumping all the paint on the canvas and then doing one of those swirlies, try to like just either let it go one way or another. It's hard to stay away from any player in that sort of genre of type, or that type of card, because they just look so unique, so interesting, and it's always you just want to see that type of stuff in hand, even if it's somebody you have no interest in. I don't collect A-Rod. I liked him with the Mariners in the 90s, but I mean, I don't collect him. I don't actively pursue his cards. So, but you always want to get a look, because seeing a scan, even if it looks nice on Instagram or Facebook, wherever you see something, or on YouTube, seeing it in your hand, holding it in your hand, holding it in the light, that is a completely different battle there, where you're just like, it's amazing. So if you see something online, we've said it before too, you see something, somebody shows, somebody's like, hey man, I got this card, I'm proud to get it, it looks so cool in person. Guess what? If it tickles your fancy, and you have a player, you have a team that you can get for reasonable price, I'd recommend doing it just to have it in hand, to say, hey, I like it, or this really wasn't for me. I'm not out too much, but whatever.
I do like, Josh's comment though above, where, some innovation from a game used perspective.
Yep.
When you start going outside of jersey swatches and things along those lines, and for football they started including shoe pieces and helmet pieces, and same thing from a hockey perspective, using pieces of the net or the puck or part of the skate.
Yep.
That's also something that can be considered from a technology perspective if you really think about it. because it's the innovation of the various game use dynamic of a lot of cards. Uh,
Hmm.
you and I have kind of talked about it before to a certain degree. They've oversaturated the market with a lot of that stuff, which is
Hmm.
unfortunate. And you get to a point to where there's only so much more ingenuity that can come out of that genre or
Yeah.
that aspect of card manufacturing. Uh, you know, my guess is the only thing that can really come out of hockey now would be an actual skate blade. I don't know if they've done that yet, but my guess is that would be almost one of the few things that would be left. Um, have they done like goalie mask pieces yet that you know of?
I don't know if like the I'm looking here because I know somewhere amongst the piles I've got some sort of goalie, like a skate, or not a goalie skate, but a skate, and I just have to find the. There we are.
The skate blade itself or an actual piece of the skate?
Yeah, the skate blade.
See, I was wondering if they had ever, done something like that.
Um, and I don't. Well, I don't know, and I know they've done it for more of the current players of the current regime or the current like last quote unquote 30 years. What's up, Wes?
I'm going to act like I didn't see that comment. That's why I didn't recognize it. No offense, Sanderson. I am a football guy through and through. Dave used to be a football guy through and through, other than his few baseball PCs, but that's changed.
Because I think this is just from the actual skate, not the blade. Even though it says blades of steel, obviously steel is not that black color. I don't believe on the. It could be. I could be completely wrong, but like on this Jack Adams one, it looks more like leather. So, but I know I've seen like the in the game type of stuff with some of those interesting pieces. Um, goalie mask, I don't know. I don't know if they'd. That'd be a tough sell for a goalie probably to give up their mask to have it pretty much torn to shit to placate a card company just because the Pinnacle masks. You saw what they did to the market back in the mid '90s. It was like the base set; those all went way up, and then they came out the next year with the insert, and those still sell very strong, even for the most, I won't say novice of goaltender, but the ones that aren't collected as heavily as Wah, Hasek, Broder, Hababul, Belfour, Cujo, Potvin. Folks of that ilk, I mean, there's still Kelly Hrudey and Hextall and Tugnut and Poopa that all sell for, I mean, they're not going dollar bins. They're selling still strong comparative to like some of the other inserts of that genre, that decade of like name players. So I it'd be a tough sell. You might get a little more backlash. Like it'd be cool, but this would probably have to be like a Goodwin Champions redemption. One of those like 5x7 cards or something. It'd have to be thicker because to truly do the card justice, you don't want to put the little fragmented piece in there and be like, oh, here's a cool piece of like blue and white. Well, what the hell is it? You can show a picture on the back like the old playoff products did, but still, I'd be like, oh, wow, you get a bigger chunk that's like this. Okay, now I see. Like the 101 would be, like on Mike Richter's would be, the Empire State Building or whatever it was for the Rangers. That would be fucking sweet. But is he going to give that up? I wouldn't. I mean, unless you come at me with oodles and oodles of money, and I don't think as much as Brian Gray says he's spending a ton of money, I don't think he's going to spend that much money on a goalie now.
So Josh just 17-18 the cup. So it's interesting that I threw that out as a thing, and it appears that somebody else has already thought of it. Not that I was trying to be innovative by any stretch of the imagination, but it was one of those in which there's only so many things that you could produce from a hockey perspective outside of what's already been done, except for goalie mask. Nobody's going to care about a player's helmet piece.
No.
And no, I refuse to go to the dark side. However, I still have a project in the back of my mind at some point, if and when I get a bigger lull in kind of what I'm watching and stuff along those lines, to put together the 99 Stars championship team, on card autographs for that team in a Stars uniform. It's something that I've thought about just because I watched a crap ton of hockey that season and was at the airport when the Stars arrived and got to touch the cup as Ed Belfour walked it across the fence line. So there's a lot of memories there. So it's one of those in which, and I almost don't want to call it a project. It's going to be a passion from that perspective, but it's still not high on my radar, at least not at the moment. But something that I do think about frequently, and will eventually start looking to do something with that at some point. So you can call it somewhat going to the dark side for all you hockey guys, but that's going to be about the extent of it. Hey, Matt.
What's going on?
But so next one on the list for me, and I probably shouldn't link these together, and hopefully, Dave, you may have some examples, because I know I don't have an example of one for sure. Like I said, I shouldn't lump them together, but I'm going to, because they both kind of weigh about the same for me, and that's die cuts and laser cuts. Pacific was was huge, and the laser cut market, they were, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, I'm pretty sure they were the innovators as it pertains to bringing that to the hobby world in the early years of Pacific. But just die cuts are cool in itself, and when you add some complexity to the die cuts to incorporate kind of some of the shapes that are included in the card background, add some additional contextual eye appeal. But the laser cutting aspect of actually having pieces within the card cutting out. So I've loved them from the beginning. There you go. Good example to pull out too. That's what drew me to Pacific. Was the die cuts and the laser cuts. Not that other manufacturers didn't have die cuts early on. Pacific didn't create the die cut by any stretch of the imagination, but Pacific is really what drove me to those two main technology innovations. And if I had my option, as far as if I could only pick up one card in a certain situation or scenario, I'm going to go with a die cut or a laser cut over anything else, unless it's a refractor. But I'm going to be real. I have a lot of the refractors. And Thank you for calling that out. I would have never known that.
I want to say there might have been like a 67 or 68 baseball deckle edge, which they did 2 or 3 years ago, I think, for Heritage, Topps Heritage. So that, because I think this year's the 71 and the 72 set. So yeah, 68, 69 maybe. That I
Which
remember that it's that black and white photo, the white border, and like the facsimile signature. So yeah, it could have been 69 and hockey followed suit or whatever. But yeah, they were. I guess the first die cuts out there.
That's interesting, though, that if they would have come up with that long ago, and it took decades to bring it back. That amazes me. But as a lot of people know, I'm not a vintage guy. I've never claimed to be a vintage guy.
Mm-hmm.
I've never really followed it from any sport, for that matter. I know, some of the key rookies, of course, from a football perspective, but baseball, you hit the ball, you catch the ball, you throw the ball. Anybody know the movie?
That's all laser cut there, here. I mean, that's, again, it doesn't show off super well. But, I mean, you look at it and think, oh. But that's 96. That's a 96 card. And it's just the hours. Yeah, the Pro Bowl.
I know what the decal edge would look like, Sanderson.
I do not.
Topps finest gold refractors, 99 or 2000, have that deckled edge.
I think 2000.
So I know what it looks like. So I'm familiar with the actual concept, unless it's now the Topps finest decal edge is a lot finer. I don't know if it's going to be the same with some of the vintage stuff that you guys were alluding to.
Again, acetate here too, but yeah, the die cut.
Yeah, I don't have any
game where you go from, again, just regular cards to you're taking pieces of the card away, but it also makes the card look really nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't have any.
I'm going to go back
to cuts in here.
I'm sure I know the answer, but
no, I have not gotten to that extent. And there's going to be some that probably won't. So I'll have to ultimately make the decision on whether or not I include them or not. However, I would prefer them all to be in a Stars uniform. But I haven't gotten to that extreme. I've looked at the team, the Stanley Cup champion team, as it pertains to who all was on it. I've done some brief searching, and a lot of the mega stars, of course, I don't have concerns about. It's going to be some of the lower tiered guys that probably could present a problem, but it'll be interesting to see how far I can get by crossing them off as that happens. But the pop out. Now that I'd be interested to see what that would look like.
Was that like a stand-up sort of thing, Joe? Like you could pop it out, then prop it up? because they're that with that, and I'm not saying it. There'll be certain people that will say, "Well, you know what? I want the unpopped." Because what Pacific Invincible, I think 97. I don't know if it's a one per pack or a lower tier insert. I think they were called pop cards. Where at the back you had like sort of like the little square that you could pop out. And this wasn't like you stand it up like an old. It's basically the 30s. That would be like the 30s version of the starting lineup. You put that card and it'd just be a stand up like there's Babe Ruth or there's DiMaggio or Teddy Williams, somebody of that ilk, Hank Greenberg, and then it sort of just stand up. Where that pop card, I think for Invincible, you just pop that back out. I don't even remember what the point was, but yeah, that would be the thing where unpopped and not tinkered with obviously would command a stronger value just because they haven't been messed up. As it were, I mean, if that's what you're going for your display, that's fine. I mean, I'm not going to say that's the wrong way to collect that stuff because whatever is going to fit your collection. For me, if I collected those, I'd want them original, how they came out of whatever packs or whatever product they were in. But yeah, I know there's a lot of like if Bobby wasn't getting ready for bed right now, some of like the knick-knacky type of like the oddball stuff, the food issues. I know that had a lot more in there to sort of get people's attention.
There's your hashtag investment advice for the evening. We'll leave it at that.
I've got one. I've got like I don't know if it's a first Bowman or a Bowman Mega Box PSA 9. And I got it 2 years ago, and I think I got it for a whopping $9. So
Well, that may have just gone up to 900.
I'd be more than happy with that. So yeah, there's a lot of the food issues because there's Scotty Tradition. There was a Hank Aaron he was after, and I don't remember the exact card because it was a bigger like slender card. But I think it was like the tab was pulled off on the bottom. Because I don't know if it was like at the time you could redeem it for something like a root beer or whatever back in the 50s because it might have been some sort of pop or a chip or whatever it was. But that was one he was looking for in a higher grade because he wanted the little tab on there. I won't say that's an insert, but that it can be in that same notation of that O-Pee-Chee or whatever. Yeah, the 36 O-Pee-Chee pop-ups or whatever, where something could be valued quite differently. Just like not an insert from the day, but when you scratch off those home run stuff or the 94 collector's choice, they had the little booklet for baseball. You could get a 7 card, I think the redemption, like the set, and I've got an example of this technology coming up for the next one. Some were instant winners, some you had to have whoever. I think Juan Gonzalez, I don't know if he that year won it or what, but whoever won it, you sent it in just sort of like a you crash the game or a upper deck predictor, and you got the set back. So if you didn't send it in, you had scratched off, and it was, I don't think it was anybody on the front, but if you had somebody on the front, like a Griffey, people would want the unscratched one, obviously, more than the scratched one because of, or old football cards when you scratch the back. Hey, this guy in 1948 had 20 touchdowns. Scratched his reveal. So,
Yeah, The one time we talk about something in which Bobby could pop in here and actually bring value to the conversation, and I leave it to how things just happen for us. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah, if Bobby watches on replay, which I can't imagine he would, but at the same time, if he does, he's going to be cursing.
Yep.
You guys don't have any subjects I really have a ton of information about. The time you go into vintage oddball, I'm elsewhere. What the hell?
Yep. That's
So
just
maybe
how things
that
work.
could be our thing down the road. We can talk about some of that stuff where what cards had an original shape or whatever, but eventually, or you could modify them as it were, or had stickers, pull tabs, something like that. Uh, Allen and Ginter rip cards. That's another one too. So,
Which now Legacy has Dare to Tear, which
and I
was
know
was which was not an original use of the term.
no, because Pinnacle Zenith had that, and
Yep.
then there's a hockey one too. I don't know if it's Artifacts or something else has the same sort of you rip a rip card basically. So that's another modification card. Maybe that'll be a topic down the road. We're giving away free topics too, because everybody else out there doesn't know what to talk about. You're getting recycled garbage. Come to the IRP, it's new stuff.
I wouldn't go that far, Dave, but good
Well,
job. Good
new
job.
topic.
Pat yourself
The
on the
next
back.
one, this was probably, I say the acetate was the first one to really catch the eye and like draw you in. This was probably the first non cardboard card that really caught my eye. And I know uh, there's stickers that came out in '89 and '90. But when Pro set this, I don't have the Stanley Cup one, but I don't know how well this will show. But holograms. That's a 75th, and this is a scant number of 10,000. And then I've got a 96.7 SPX, which that set being die cut, the foil, holograms. I mean, I won't say that was the first super premium because you had finest. Yeah, there you go. I mean, the 97 8 basketball and Steve's showing that. It's not the first super premium, but when I think they had one a pack, I think that 96 had either one or like three. It was a very, very, very limited number. And it was like $5 a pack, $6 a pack when it first came out. I mean, that quickly rose. Um, to see that, to see where Upper Deck had their stickers one per pack, the baseball ones. You'd see the California Angels or the Twins or the Mariners or whatever. Mini ones in 90, maybe 89 as well. And then 91 had the jumbo ones or the regular size. And they're using that technology in the back of the card too. So you see that and like, oh, that's pretty cool. And so then Pro Set does the
Lombardi.
Stanley Cup. Then the next year they do the 75th anniversary of the puck.
They also did the Lombardi.
Yes, they got the Lombardi Trophy, which is a huge one to try to get. I mean, that's another holy grail type of card for any football collector.
Yep, that's goes in the definition of kid card.
Yes. To see those and then just to see some of it was done well. Most of the time, Upper Deck pretty much ruled the roost, so to speak, with the way they did it. I mean, everything they did with holograms was pretty spot on. Any other company that tried it? Because I remember who had it. It was a 96 Pinnacle type product. I think tried it with on the side in the football, and it was just not good. It was an insert in inscriptions. I think I'd have to go. I'll do research for next week because I didn't think this would come up either. So, but I think there was some sort of insert in there, and it just wasn't. It didn't look good. So Upper Deck pretty much had that technology down to a T, and now you look back and you sort of chuckle, haha, it's sort of cheesy because you just see the guy and you. At the time, if you were living in that age, that was the shit. That was stuff you wanted. That was stuff that it didn't matter if it was Derek Lavelle, Kerry Collins, John Elway. No matter who it was, they sold, and they sold quickly, and they sold well. So
The only other, I don't want to call it company because I don't know what the actual name of the company is that produced them, but outside of Upper Deck, anything Marvel related, they did holograms well too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, from my perspective, outside of the little Marvel stuff I collected when I was younger, that's ultimately what introduced me to holograms. But then, of course, as I continue to grow in my card collecting, Upper Deck 100% hands down, I would agree that they had that stuff on point.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything else from a hologram perspective, or you ready to?
I think that was the only two that I actually could dig up.
Yeah, I don't have any holograms readily available.
I can check quickly in my Griffey, and again, it's not really a hologram.
No, I don't have mine readily available. Mine are
You might somewhat like the Dream Team. That was another solid, I suppose.
Yeah, those are nice.
Cool. So I mean that score did it well the one year, but that was the thing with it's tough to see them, but these cards will always be some of my favorites too. Just that set.
Yeah.
Score
Hollow views.
But they constantly changed their design in that Dream Team. So you never had anything that was constant or consistent. Don't think. Check the Thomas stuff.
Yeah, because the ones I was going to show or would have shown would have been the Marvel ones that I have, but I have no idea where they are at this point in time, unfortunately. But that was also from the early 90s, though, too.
Yeah. There's the Frank Thomas. But I think that was the only year Score ever did any of that. That was pretty much their one and done insert along those lines.
So next one on my list, and this probably shouldn't be another big surprise for a lot of people because it kind of coincides with my number one, but go with mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
This is another one of those in which, if done right, it just, and of course, not light. This kind of light doesn't do these cards justice by any stretch of the imagination. But mirrors is another one of my all time favorites. Uh, and to me, it seems more along the lines of like the hollows that Panini does for Prism. It's more based on the mirror type technology, uh, which is one of the main reasons why I'm not a huge fan of Prism. But because if it was more of the refractor, the rainbow type technology aspect, I may like it a little bit more. But mirrors are another one at the top of my list as it pertains to technology perspective. And speaking of deckled edge, probably not going to be able to pick it up a whole lot, but there's your gold refractor with the deckled edge. It pulls up a little. I mean, it shows a little bit. But I knew Topps Finest, the golds, had them. That's the only mirrors I have. Dave, I don't know if you have any other examples that you want to.
I'll see if I can position this correctly. So there might be a jostling. So I've got my Brodeur box as my camera stand.
Everybody hold your breath. Don't breathe. Don't breathe. Did I actually throw one out there, Dave, that you didn't have any potential examples set aside?
It was one I had thought of today at work, and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to remember. And mirror gold you won't see, but you will have. Because that was one I thought you were going to mention anyway. I don't want to.
Hey, Dave.
Thunder.
I'm going to let you kind of manage for a bit. My wife just came home briefly from the neighbor's house as to what we talked about earlier.
Yep.
So I want to get an update from her. So I'll be back.
Okay. But there is the mirror blue. The red. And then one where hockey did it. I wish baseball and football would have. I think you'd see those cards at record prices if you follow me at all on any of my various platforms. And my light is legit trash in here, so you will not see the true beauty. So we can do a no. It's the mirror platinum gold. So those ones be my example. I've got the mirror gold in that box as well. Maybe I'll dig that out if Steve's going to be away for a couple moments here. Just go on the other end because I know it's a graded card. Grab that one out for an example. There we are. I will show that in a moment there, Wes. Or one from it. And here is the mirror gold. This would be, and again, everybody has their own personal preference. This would be the one set I would recommend peeling. I've got those guys, and they're going to get peeled eventually. 97, 98, Do what you want, but that I'm in the non-peel. Hashtag don't peel for 97, 98. But 96, 7 looks so much cleaner that because you look at this clunky film on there. It just, yeah. But this works better for me. I don't know why. So those are my examples of the mirrors. So next up, I'm gonna go with, it's sort of a hodgepodge again. I'm gonna go with cards that are made of seemingly something else. Out of like a leather, out of precious metals, out of wood. It's another aspect of cards that when they came out, it's like these feel amazing. Whoa. Why didn't we think of this? Why didn't we think of cards made of just like different on I've got the cloth or the silks from Pacific, but you have like the larger than life, at least the feel on the front of leather. And it's again die cut, so again, and then a nice lot of foil. Not yet, Josh. I think I've got one or two that I hope I can access, but that's another one too. I love that canvas feel. Like what was it? Oh, baseball sold well, but it was like an 08, 09 product. Masterpieces, Upper Deck masterpieces. I love that with the actual border that's raised, and then everything's on like the canvas, which is just a cool concept. Where why didn't we think of this? How did we not think of this before? An insert. I don't know if that another one that felt cool out of 96 tops was Turf Warriors, and they were real flimsy. I mean, if you dropped them or you held them the wrong way, you'd crease them. But they felt like that, like a carpet, like a shag, like the AstroTurf. I don't know if any of you have seen this type of card. Destination Honolulu, sort of a wood card, like a tiki god, and there's a 10 in the set, so there's 10 different designs for the players, and I don't know if I'm guessing it was all pro dudes, because again, Honolulu, that's where the Pro Bowl used to be every year, but it's got that wood feel. So that was a case hit there. Out of Leaf Fractal Materials, this was another leather type card. They had this, wood, and I don't know what else. I don't know if it was an acetate or not. And these were fairly tough to come by. And the last two of like the material type cards.
I better see one of them that I would be expecting. There it is. Okay. Because that was actually going to be one of mine. Precious metals.
The precious metals from 97, Donruss preferred. You had what, platinum, silver, and gold, I think, 1 troy ounce or just under 1 troy ounce, or one gram fine platinum.
Silver, gold, and platinum.
So again, I don't know why anybody grade this card, but I'll take it. Josh, Stadium Club, I want to say 02 or 03 had stuff like the little packet from the pitcher's mound. Turf, it was what, 01 Classics, I think, but it was all the same. And I want to say a Fleer product, like an EX or a Tradition had some sort of turf type card, but I know
Yeah, it was called Grass. One of them was Grassroots.
that 01 Classics, because it was all from Three Rivers Stadium. It didn't matter if you got a Pittsburgh Steeler or I've got a George Blanda autograph out of that, same thing. It's a chunk of the turf. It's raised up off the card. I think there's an Eddie George out of that. There's vets and at the time current players. So they've done that. I don't know if they've done anything recently, just because I don't know what turf is left. That field turf has all those rubber pellets in there. So I'm trying to think what else they've got. I don't know if they did the foul pole, the netting. I know they've done stuff. Pacific had done it.
They've done pylons.
Yep, pylons, and I think Fleer did that as well.
I want to say they've done a goalpost, but it was I want to say it was a Vinatieri thing.
Yeah,
specific for the Super Bowl when they won the Super Bowl.
Yep, and I think because I want to say I've got an Elway or Favre, like a Topps Heritage. They did like the goalpost cover, like the padding around that the standard or the stanchion of the goalpost. But I don't think anybody's done like the foul or the netting behind home plate, or it used to, I think, be like a sort of, not a catch fence, but it stopped the ball on the foul poles down, or the fair poles down the foul fair line. Pacific, I think, had like a laser die cut, like the foul pole something for baseball. I know they had the net
fusion.
Yeah,
for football.
A brodeur for some of those things, but it wasn't game used net. It was just sort of whatever they put together. And so there's still stuff out there. I know hockey's got like the Stadium Series. So I think Dumba's got a card. I might even have it somewhere where they have the net from the card, and they've got whoever played in that Stadium Series that year. That's only limited to what, like 35, so pretty tough to come across. They've had other like game used or event used stuff. They've had draft hats. They've had, I know in hockey, they've had draft the boards or whatever. They've used some of those for the cup. Who had it?
Football gloves.
Yep.
Like sweatbands or whatever. I remember them, the pink ones to celebrate
the breast cancer
awareness,
camouflage, or the military awareness or whatever.
Yep.
And most of those those are put in the panini packs or whatever, like a Father's Day or a Thanksgiving or something like that.
Yep.
But still something different. I mean, collectors always want something different, and I will say, as much as we give shit to Panini, they've put out a lot of oddball stuff, but it's, if you wanted something different, they've done a lot of that. Trying to think what other actual base cards they've had. Those, not actual like just base cards, but game used bases. They've had that. Yeah, that.
Yes, they did those too.
That's when it gets too far. So.
Yeah, that was a little much. I'll let you crunch on that a little bit more, Dave. But so I have my next one on the list, and I'll combine this one as well. Excuse me. Sorry, I had to sneeze first. A little bit delayed there. I'll combine this one as well, but hollow foil and rainbow foil.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's on a base card, it really changes the visual, aspect of it. It just, it makes the card pop. Uh, so when and yes, I could go to gold foil and silver foil and that type of stuff, but me personally, that's a little bit more plain. But the hollow foil and then the rainbow foil stamping on cards and its placement and its usage really can make a card pop. Whether it be a base card, an insert, a parallel, doesn't matter. So that's another big one on my list. But something I would like to call out. It amazes me how we started this with a football focus, and yet we have more diehard hockey collectors that are always here than we do anything else. I just like to call that out. And we appreciate it. We appreciate it. Which usually makes us talk about hockey a little bit more, which is fine. I don't have any issues with the sport by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just not up to speed as much as what everybody else is. So I'm a little bit ignorant when it comes to some of those some of the conversations.
But that's what we're all here for. Some of the hockey guys, as Josh said, he pretty much knows hockey. So what we're talking about is all new to him, and you, even though you're the hockey oracle, there's still chapters in that book that you haven't filled in yet. So
not self-proclaimed by any stretch of the imagination. I'm going to continue to say that until I'm blue in the face. I don't have any examples of rainbow foil or hollow foil, unfortunately, in the one stack I have available. I will bring up one that's, to me, is a little bit more of an oddball. Well, maybe not an oddball, but it served its purpose, and then it kind of went away. And I'll kind of have to loop these in together, though, because it's not really going to show up very well. But Sport Flicks / like Motion Vision. Innovative for its time, for sure. So good. You have more of a Sport Flicks. This is one of the Motion Visions that only came out 1 year in 2 series. But, the same type of technology. Motion Vision gave you a little bit more, it seemed. Have a good one, Josh. Thanks for stopping in.
Yeah, take care.
So I won't say it's one of the top ones on my list, but I sure, early on in the early 90s, that was like the rage, it seemed, because it was the newest, latest, and greatest. And, Sportflix had its own brand from that perspective. I'll call it its own brand. It probably would have been produced by one of the other ones, but to me, it always stood alone. Just because of the innovation aspect of it. And it went through Sportflix went through what? 95 or 96? I can't remember. Okay, it did go through 96.
At least for baseball. At least for baseball, it did.
Because I know through 95 because, that was Terrell Davis's rookie year, so they do have a rookie Sportflix. And then there's this freaking guy who hasn't said a damn thing. Who hasn't said a damn thing in chat, which means he was probably working. And
softball.
Oh, softball tonight?
Late game under the lights.
Oh, wow. Which would make sense why we didn't have the better half either.
Yep.
Because usually if we don't have you, we have the better half for at least
Mhm.
the early part of the show, and then once you have a moment to stop working, you usually join in. We will not be showing any more hockey cards tonight, so I don't know why you joined, Vinny. So if you want to go ahead and take off, by all means.
Okay. Bye-bye.
But I knew, like, from a Sportflix perspective, 95 for sure, because Terrell Davis has a rookie in Sportflix. So I didn't know if it progressed to the next year or not. Like I said, Motion Vision was a 1-year wonder. 97, I believe, was the year for Motion. And actually, I think they call it Mo Vision or something. I don't think it actually was called Motion Vision, but it still, most people will know about it. It came in like a CD case, and it was 1 card per pack, and it was a small set. Came out in 2 series, and then you had some inserts. Okay, maybe I wouldn't call them inserts. Maybe you would call them. No, I guess you would call them an insert, because, like, I think one of these is like LDR1 or something, which has a different number than the regular set. So technically that would be considered an insert, I guess, even though it's the same technology. And then, of course, Terrell Davis has an autograph. Drew Bledsoe has an autograph. I don't know of anybody else off the top of my head, only because I know you had the Drew Bledsoe, and I have the Terrell Davis, and I have 2 variations. I have a silver ink and a gold ink. And yes, I do consider those unique, because from that perspective, that is unique. But I've never been able to find any information as it pertains to if, like, the gold was limited to X number, and the silver was, the bulk of the autographs. I've never found any information on it whatsoever, but I do consider those to be unique because they are in different color pen. Just for the record, as it pertains to some of my counts.
Yeah.
So that's what.
Because it came out 86. I want to say baseball wise, it was 86, and
that sounds about right.
Because I know Canseco and Bo had rookies. There could have been others. Those were ones when I was 8 or 9 that I was already wanting those cards, and I don't think they came back until 94.
See, and I can't remember the dates. I remember them from the early 90s.
Yes,
and I knew
head to head. It was like Charles Haley and somebody else, and that was 94, because I think Falk's got one. I'm fairly certain. I don't know if it was like Haley on the Niners before he signed with Dallas, and like Aikman, and then you had like Marino and somebody, like defense, offense, stuff like that. So maybe Jerry Rice and Dion, something like that.
Right.
But I remember that 94, but I don't think there was anything for the. There might have been some 87 for baseball, and it was baseball only.
Yeah, see, baseball is what I really remember it more from early on than I do from a football perspective. So Vinny, since you popped on.
I was trying to find that pop up that you guys were talking about.
Oh.
Because they remade them in, I thought OPG, but I cannot find it. I thought I found it, but apparently I did not.
Here's another laser cut. A little better. I knew I had something around here.
Yeah, better representation of really what it brings to the table.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so much. I don't know how much time, but just to think about all these die cuts and laser cuts and try to put the card together without it looking like crap or being super flimsy.
Right. So knowing Vinny joined us this evening, which means he has some some opinions as it pertains to some of his favorite technologies. Obviously, you didn't prepare like I didn't either. Mine was unintentional. You may have missed the placeholder of knowing what today's topic was. Dave actually had it up early, and he didn't even share it with me. I happened to stumble across it as I was going through, YouTube. So I think he was trying to throw me a curveball, but I did catch it. So I knew what we were talking about, and my plan was to have some examples and make a list. And because of my day, it didn't go that way.
Yeah.
So from your perspective, we'll hand it over to you for a few minutes to let you kind of go over some of yours. No particular order, unless you want to give it a precedence. We'll kind of leave that up to you.
Harken back to what Dave was talking about with the mirror golds. I don't have. Lemieux was in 95, 96, and 96, 97. But when Panini bought the Select name, they put out Select, and then they put out Select Certified. So never seen before to human eyes. So there is the base Select, and that's numbered to $9.99. You have your, I forget which one this is numbered to 75. It's sort of like your Prism type deal.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have your red numbered to 100. Then you have, there's another number to 75. Then you have your mirror blue number to 50. And then your mirror gold number to 25. So then there's emerald numbered to, I think, 10. And then black, I think, is numbered to 1. Or something of that ilk.
Mm-hmm.
Emeralds normally carry 5, but that I wouldn't put it past Panini to do something different, since they've done that a multitude of times before. Changing normal, like the gold vinyl, for instance, that's had multiple iterations as far as what the serial number is. 1 and 5. So it's like
we will read from scripture. Mirror black is numbered to 1. Mirrored emerald is numbered to 15. Gold is to 25.
Interesting.
So I stand corrected.
But that's interesting. Like I said, emerald has always been a thing to 5. I mean, that's been a Leaf certified mirror emerald thing for a decade and a half, probably. But that's interesting. But like I said, leave it to Panini to decide to change a formula.
It's to 5.
The emerald. You said 15.
I looked at it wrong. My fault. 5.
Okay.
It's /5.
Okay.
Yep.
Woohoo! I was right. Not that that's what this was about by any stretch of the imagination. It wouldn't surprise me though if they didn't change something though. That's why I was.
They have a totally purple that's numbered to 10. So that's an 11-12 certified. They threw a purple in there.
And then 13-14, it's numbered to 35. Because I've got a couple of dumb bugs.
Well, and for football, they added orange. They added purple. They added, I want to say, like a light blue or something in the newer certified. It's like, why stick for certain products? And I know we're kind of deviating from the subject, but for something that's been a mainstay, Leaf certified materials has been a mainstay for a while. And the formula has always worked as it pertains to your base your mirror blue, or your mirror red, your mirror blue, your emerald, and then your black. Thank you for adding gold. Why I like dropped that from my mind is that's like a sin almost. But that formula has been that way for forever. Why start adding additional color parallels like everybody else does? I've never understood it. I get it from a business perspective, but the formula has always worked. It has been like a mainstay for a long time. And then of course they change it, and they of course change the technology on the mirrors. It doesn't look anything like what I showed earlier for the 96 and the 97. It is completely different. Sorry, I didn't realize you were still chewing there, Dave. I guess I could have kept talking because obviously Vinny's still looking to figure out what next he wants to bring up. I don't know how much you caught though either, Vinny, as far as we've covered off a lot of them, but at the same time, it'd still be interesting to see what some of your top ones would be. There's still a ton, but I don't know if we want to focus the whole episode on that or not. We probably could.
Yeah.
What
I'd say first for the certified, I had the camo stuff in there too, which again, whatever. But when Panini, this is the downfall of Panini on the other side. When you try to make everything like Prism, it's going to fail. Certified used to be, and I'll speak for the older community, one of the big products we were all excited to come out. You had your RPA type card, and that was usually anywhere from like a $7.99. Then the good rookies were like to $4.99. Then like the top rookies were in the $1.99, $2.99. You had the mirror again. I think the red was the next level,
because that was usually the $2.99 or $2.50.
Yep. Then the blue was to like 100. Then you had the gold to 25. Then the black to 1, and the emerald to 5. Keep it that way. That worked. It was tried and true. You fucked with it, and people went away from it. Now it's just like any other product on that mid to low tier that instead of people getting hyped about it, it's like, whatever. A general malaise. Nobody cares. So that's what I'd say about that certified, because that was another one that utilized, and I'm going back to 02. I've got the McCown stuff where you had one of them. I think the red to 250 was a football from the rookie premiere
or a jersey. It was either or. Because I want to say so. Oh no, 02. Yeah, 02 specifically did it one way. That's right.
03, you had the jersey. Then for like the red, you had the jersey and ball. Then for the blue, you had the jersey, ball, and the helmet. Then for the gold, you had the shoe, and then you had the emerald, and then the black. Again, that's everything the same as the gold, but I think the blue in 02 was the helmet. The gold was like the patch. So it was unique. It was fun. If you got a nice patch, you still want another one because you looked at that patch and was like, man, or a piece of the helmet with like the warning label, part of that warning label on the back of it, or the air hole in there, or a piece of logo. It was just stuff that people still look for to this day. We're now in the last 10 years certified, unless you're a top rookie, nobody gives a shit. I mean, Wayne Gallman, who wants anything his? It doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, you try to cherry pick some of these later guys now and try to be some fantasy football guru, and you're swing and a miss. Stick to like the top 2 rounds, and then pick maybe 5 from the 3rd to 5th. And don't worry about the rest. But and even if you got to pick a lineman, Pick a few. People like him. I remember who was Dwayne Robertson was in the '03, the Jets first rounder out of Kentucky, D lineman. Did anybody really want him? Probably not, but you're a top 5 pick. You've at least earned that right to have some cool cards. So, not to get on that tangent, but yeah, we're certified how it used to be one of our top products by far. Now it's an also ran, and nobody gives a shit. Nobody will until you change it back. Don't make it Prism Junior. So, I will go with the next because it's one that I just grabbed one card of it, and I'm sure everybody else has it. It's a technology we always talk about. I think the first time I saw it might have been '93 in one of the Pinnacle Baseball, I think All-Star set, or the Score Select. I think Select Stars sort of had it, but '94 it became more prevalent. That'd be like the Doofix.
I was waiting for that one to come out of you too.
That it's like you can't. It seems to be everybody's darling now. But that's something I've always enjoyed. It's always been. I've said before, you go back and look at a lot of these pickup videos, last 10, 12 years, whatever, 10, 11 years. A lot of stuff like that. C teams and the rookies, the rookie risings, stuff that's just, it didn't matter who it was. Daniel Alfredson, I like to think I want to pick up his stuff, but I never go down that path. If I see stuff like that for $1, read a Bertuzzi like that, $1. Why not? That stuff is always, and I think always will appeal to pretty much, for sure us, but like any '90s person, any '90s collector, like I remember those. I remember how you saw one in a showcase. If you saw your buddy pull it, that's what we're talking about.
Oh yeah, Doofix. That's still always been one at the top of my list. I wish they would find a way to incorporate Doofix with other technologies in a way in which it would like mesh well. But aesthetically, I don't know how that would be possible. I mean, there's got to be ways, because let's be real, they consistently are innovating new ways of bringing things together and stuff along those lines, combining technologies. But on the flip side, and we've said it before, sometimes things can get overly busy, and when things are overly busy, sometimes it really takes away from the aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing comes to mind off the top of my head because, oh, hey, puppy. With me not doing a whole lot of the newer stuff, nothing, like I said, comes to mind, so to speak, because I haven't seen a whole lot of it. Because I don't, although it pulls up in my Terrell Davis searches and stuff along those lines, I don't spend a whole lot of time looking at them. I just kind of bypass it, or if it's a low numbered parallel type situation, I may throw it on the watch list just to kind of get an idea, or see potentially what something goes for. But at the same time, it's like, I think there's opportunities to leverage Doofix with blending it with others, which I think would be cool. It'd be no different than leveraging like etched foil, for instance. Same sort of concept. But Doofix is on its own playing field compared to like etched foil. And I wish I had examples of just, like, I know you showed Doofix because there is a difference. There's a difference between Dufex and etched foil, and although it may be subtle in certain situations, yeah, there you go. There's your a good example of etched foil. Adds a lot of granularity. It adds like additional texture to it. Unlike Dufex, Dufex doesn't really give you the texture aspect. It just the technology itself. Like I said, it's on a plane all by itself. I can't put it into words. I can't like express it in words. And we know Vinny likes Dufex because he happened to stumble across one that he showed. But I'm still interested to get more input from him as it pertains to some of his other top favorite sort of technologies. I know his will be hockey centric, which is fine. And Vinny, don't think that you have to have examples. We haven't always fully had examples of everything. But it's one of those in which everybody has, everybody's going to have different tops of their list, so to speak. But I would be interested to hear more about some of yours, even if we've touched on them, doesn't matter. It's always nice to bring other individuals' opinion as it pertains to some of this, because there could be ones of which we may not even touched on yet.
Photography wise, everybody talks about upper deck, so as a technology, but when you have your first year of Fleer Ultra, that's a game changer right there. The shiny, this looked like a picture that you took and got developed. It had that sheen to it. And it was just, this is the set that hooked me. This card right here hooked me. So that always has a special place in the heart, in the cockles.
Well, and photography is, I don't want to call it technology. However, it is one of those in which it does come into play, because the correct use of photography is an element. And, from that perspective, if we're talking technology is an element. Photography is, for a lot of us, would be on a plane of its own. However, it is one of those in which it is a thing as it pertains to aesthetically pleasing to the eye from a manufacturer perspective. We've all talked about Stadium Club and its photography. So Fleer Ultra with the front and the additional photos on the back was definitely an innovation from that perspective. So that's one that we didn't touch on. I like that one.
Here's a good one. Like the foiling, like the not etching. I don't know if you consider this, but it was kind of embossed yet gold leaf type deal. This was a skybox tribute through Fleer.
We talked about hollow foil and rainbow foil, but and I mentioned silver and gold foil in certain aspects because they all kind of fall into the same thing. But you brought up embossing, and I think Dave briefly mentioned it earlier, but that's a technology in itself, is the whole embossing aspect and the raised images on the surface of the card. I don't know if you have like an example readily available.
That's what I'm hunting.
But it's hard to show up in camera. That's the thing with a lot of embossing.
And when I think embossing, I go right to Action Pact.
Yep. So I mean, I happen to have this is baseball, and this is one of the old timey sets. But like I said, it's not gonna. It doesn't really show. I mean, there you can see a little bit of it, but there's your embossing. So your raised image. So Action Packed, of course, that was the innovator at the time.
Thank you, better half.
That's not very nice. Be nice. Play nice. What else you got, Benny?
I'm trying to, let's see what we have here.
And anybody else for that matter. Interested to hear what the chat also thinks. I know we've lost a few people, which happens as we kind of progress along. But I am curious to know if anybody else has one that they can think of that maybe we haven't touched on as far as one of their tops. There's you another embossed. That combines embossed and refractor.
And then you can't pick it up, but like the baseball aces, and then the player Barry Bonds himself is embossed. This one you can see a little bit. And then that foil's all erased. It's if we had some Action Pack stuff, that would.
I showed one. I showed one of the Legends of Baseball Action Pack.
Okay.
And I was able to get it at a good enough angle to where you could see at least part of the raised part of the player.
And then.
So better half, her favorite is acetate, which is also Dave's favorite. That's more etched foil.
Dufex. There's some acetate action.
There you go. See, that's what I think of with acetate, the gold coloring. Mm-hmm. See the finger? See the finger?
Thank you.
Love those. Love those. So you did some digging more for some of your Dufex, since that's still Dufex is way up on your list too, and always has been.
Yeah, that'll never probably be lower than like a number 3, just because that's anything that's old. That brings you in. You see that and you're like, okay, I got to buy more of those cards, either in the showcase or rip packs, because I want to get more. What's going on, Brad? Yep.
No, Sanderson. No, exactly. And we highlighted that briefly, but it was one of those of which I was hoping that we'd be able to dive into the photography aspect though too at some point, because it is an element. Technology within the card manufacturing process is an element, and a lot of us take photography for granted just because it's the basis of the card, so to speak. But, as you alluded to, Upper Deck really changing the dynamic, the card stock, the gloss, you bring that up. That was an element, of course, in the early 90s from that perspective, that glossy finish. Dave touched on the hologram aspect, because it was always on the back of the card. So much from the early years of Upper Deck that really shaped the future innovation. So that's more acetate.
Yep. This is 0 degrees Celsius out of what is this? I can't even remember chronology.
So as I said, acetate was the top of Dave's list as far as technology. Essential credentials, there's the EX aspect that you were looking for. I haven't seen that one, Dave. I'm surprised I haven't seen that. Number to
Yeah.
100.
No, this is the credentials version, the $2.99.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But then you had the Radiance
Yep.
that ripped off the PMG. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, and there's variations though of a lot of what we've talked about though too,
You have
because
you look at that. This is acetate, but you look at it, it looks like a black diamond. The the etching that's all etched in there in that middle part.
right.
So you can see through it. You can see the finger there, but it's all.
No, Vinny, you got to put it on the back of the card.
I was trying to do it in stereo since he and I picked out the same card.
Want to show more like that decal edge we were talking about.
Yep, that's another type of it. Yep. And Sanderson, I think you're absolutely right.
Oh yeah, they
Absolutely.
I'd say 89 when they came out for the $1 a pack for baseball, and then the 90-91 hockey, which was absolutely one of the most white hot products at the time. Even with, you could find it, it wasn't overly populated though, even though years later it's insanely, it's a swamp of it, either that, the regular, or the French. But at the time people were scooping it up. You had everything that pretty much came together. Photography, then you had a lot of that technology photography. You had like the 3 shots, like I want to say Nolan Ryan had an 89 or 90, and then I was at Nolan Ryan and the update series in 89 throwing the football. So you had stuff that, yeah, you had like the Mackie Sasser, 86 or 87 Fleer with the glove that's like as big as me that was on. You had some of these comical things, but you didn't see like more like personal type stuff. Upper Deck brought that in. Then Top Stadium Club for Baseball really ramped it up in 91. But that 91 Upper Deck hockey set, you had the Hot Rookies, great photography, and just the thirst and the hunger for something different. You had Topps O-Pee-Chee, Topps O-Pee-Chee, Topps O-Pee-Chee. That's what you had. At least in baseball, you had Topps, then Topps and Fleer and Donruss. Then Score came along in 88. You had a couple like update sets here and there, superstar sets, whatever, opening day type sets. Hockey, there wasn't much of that, I don't believe. It's basically was Topps, O-Pee-Chee, you had Parkhurst way back in like the 50s and maybe a couple in the 60s, but it wasn't. Again, here we go talking about old hockey. Bobby, where the hell are you? Well, what could you be doing that's better than being here? So you have that. You see you see the success of the baseball for Upper Deck, and it's just like you get hockey collectors. I'm sure at the time, I mean, I bought stuff. I wasn't tuned into there wasn't a network then. And being 10 years old, it's like you see the packs, you're like, oh, I know Pavel Bure. I want to get his cards. I can't even think. I know there's tons of people. I love Yager's in there. Get these guys, and because I see them on Sports Center, I see them breakaway goals and effortless goals and slap shots, and you just had everything as the perfect storm. So we thank Upper Deck, and at the same time, for every company we curmudgeon them too. So
No, that's your job, Dave, because you're known as the old curmudgeon.
this is true.
Just thought I'd throw that out there. So Vinny's still digging. I'm guessing you have others in mind.
Just one more acetate, just real quick. David came in today. The old version
Okay, of the UDIs.
Yep. So this is the parallel. And then here's the regular first year 96, 97 ice.
Okay. Yeah,
But I
you get
didn't. But
Gretzky as your
but
spokesman.
but I didn't see the finger, Vinny. Make sure you do it right. You got to remove your two front fingers. That's another fail, Vinny. What is wrong with you?
I was trying to give you the proper finger.
Yes, I know. I caught that, which is quite surprising. That
We talked
anyone
about
actually pulled that.
holograms. Trying to.
Oh,
Here's some
there it
upper
is.
deck.
It's
So that's a little bit of,
SPX.
yep. So a little bit of upper deck SPX holograms. So some of that technology there.
Another good example.
Is this hollow foil? Yeah, number to 99, some hollow foil.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, because we didn't have any examples of that really, so that's nice that you pulled that one out. Any rainbow foil by chance?
That would be Spectrum. I have one. It was on Instagram. I just put it on there.
Don't waste a whole lot of time, Vinny. I just thought I'd ask the question since neither Dave or I had one available.
And see, I don't know. I guess I'd consider these rainbow, but in the same sense, it's the refractorish version of these cards at the same, but it's not because it's not Topps Chrome, Bowman's Best, Bowman Chrome, Topps Finest. Because I've got, and that can go for the embossed as well.
Yeah, the light's not picking that one up as well as the other two.
And then you had like the Stadium Club with the beam teams. And they're also like the laser cut.
Nice. And Benny's still searching. Jeez, Vinny, why couldn't you been prepared? I mean, jeez.
I'd stop
they
going
do?
on.
How'd they do?
3-0. We won. Undefeated so far.
Yeah, because we had no text updates, so didn't know that we had softball tonight.
Some Crown Royal with some die cut. And then you get into the multiple foil colors for the parallels. I'm in my overflow box that I haven't processed yet.
We're still waiting for some rainbow foil.
I'm looking. I know that's in here somewhere.
Well, if you're like Dave, then it's probably not in there.
Correct.
At least he finally showed the one card on Instagram. Took him forever to show it off. That's a nice one. See, that's rainbow foil on a whole different level.
Mm-hmm.
Not that that's not in the same spectrum. I was more alluding to in the basic card design, whether it be the name,
Yeah,
things along those lines, which I had a feeling you knew what I was alluding to, but you know, that's like on a substantial scale. but cool as hell nonetheless. It's not pulling up, but
I know. I think it's just in that cup
the
logo
emblem.
there.
Yeah, the emblem. That's the one thing that sucks about some of the certain cars, the way that they're manufactured, and where you're set up, and respect to trying to show off a card.
Yeah.
It displays different in different light and things along those lines.
There's some rainbow foil.
That is Brad. I'll show you a base card of. That's a base. I think that's out of the Tim Hortons set. There were extras that were sent, so I'm like, well, Brad likes Blue Jackets. Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Garbage. That's kindling.
There you go.
Niskanen.
Well, not Niskanen, Heiskanen.
Doesn't matter, really.
Two different guys.
I was freaking close.
No.
Aha.
Hey, Dave.
You have an itch on the bridge of your nose?
No, that wasn't an itch. I was just making sure you could see it. Look into my eyes, Dave. Look into my eyes. I didn't watch a whole lot of hockey this year, so forgive me for pronouncing his name incorrectly, but I was freaking close.
Well, Niskanen's the one that I actually went to go meet with the cup. Heiskanen's, I think, from, I don't know where, Sweden or somewhere over that way. Slight difference.
Close enough for government work. Yes. I'm not wrong.
That's correct.
Here we go. There's your rainbow foil on your spectrums from number to 25.
Yeah,
It's hard to pick up.
Yeah, and that's what I was alluding to. See, you can see that one a little bit more on the on the edge of the border or whatever. We're glad we could make your evening better half. As we always said, we do have our moments, although they are normally infrequent. We do have our moments.
I know I do.
Speaking of which, I still need to go. So was it 2 weeks ago? What was the show in which we were all freaking dying? Was that 2 weeks ago that I needed to go find the one excerpt and so we could strip it out and you could put it up on YouTube for a YouTube short?
Schmedium.
That was one of our better shows for sure as it pertained to laughs. Dave was definitely on a roll that evening.
I see his boy, where in the world is Carmen Santiago? He's in that same class of schmediums.
That's a nice one.
It's OPG, a little bit of rainbow foil.
Yeah, like I said, that's one of those in which that's rainbow foil on a whole different level, but it's still the same idea.
Here's anti-foil, box bottom. You can't get any more rudimentary than that.
That's pretty dull.
Yep.
We didn't say anything about bringing up dull technologies, Vinny. Jeez.
Here's that. The refractor eludes me, but I have a couple copies of this one. The Stanley Cup Heroes.
Some die cut action. So show us something new, Vinny, that we hadn't talked about yet. Jeez.
Oh, here.
Yeah, come on.
If you would have been here for the entire episode, I mean, geez, you wouldn't be covering some of this stuff.
Wood. The cards. So we have ingrained.
Something else Dave brought up.
Okay, then.
We've talked about turf cards. We've talked about wood. We've talked about precious metals. We've talked about a lot of stuff. That's a little harsh, Brad.
He just wants to put together the rainbow.
You do not want to offend me now, sir. For those who don't know, my kid is queer, and yes, that is the term that they use. So be careful. Just gonna throw it out there. Be very cognizant of that, folks. I can understand and appreciate the humor aspect of it. I'm not one of those in which I'm not. I can still. What's the word I'm looking for? I can appreciate what you were going with, but at the same time, sometimes it needs to be a little bit more careful. Just throwing that out there. No, that is true. That is true. That is true. I'm just giving him crap, better half. Yeah, so what are we going to call that, Dave? I don't even know what to call that.
This I'm gonna go with, because I've got the other example. Let's go with the prism. It's a variation of a prism. Because the Elite, again, the first year was basically just foil, which is cool. That second year, though, that prism, absolutely bonkers. Again, they could have done a lot more with the back. I mean, that's basically a Donruss back. But those, and then when they came out with the prism for just like the base cards, I think I've got that Griffey over here. Yep, just the regular base, and this is a insert, I should say. But I mean, the base had the same. Where again, I think this was another one per packer, like $3, $4. But again, every card looked like a case hit card. Mm-hmm. That was the thing, and that was basically before case hits, in like '93. I mean, you didn't have case hits.
Yeah, because I remember Pacific Prism. There's another example. Yeah.
So,
sticker.
Yeah, those were.
Oh, sticker Prism. Okay.
93, 94.
So going way back.
And that's Panini hockey. So they were dabbling back then with the idea.
I know you're not the rainbow foil. Not of the ilk you're looking for, but I also do like when they came out with you saw gold, you saw silver foil when they started coming out with a blue foil, and I know the raspberry and blue from that Pacific Rookies and Stars '95 set. That was another. When you started jumping in these different color foils, and Pacific took that to another level with the emerald. You had copper, you had silver, you had gold, you had red, the platinum blue or the ice blue. It was fun. Where you had 6 cards to try to chase. I don't need 60. Panini. I need 6. So when that started coming out, it's like, okay, these are fun. It's just different colors, and I like that. But it didn't seem like a lot of it stuck around, and basically was just Pacific. Pacific just seemed to be the foil kings. Everyone else just sort of like, I don't know. We'll do this was always their version of the foil, just that foil board. Which, sure, that's great to see in like one insert. Don't put like 3 of them, especially if you have 2 series tops. Don't put. The score was another one too. I mean, I love the gold stars. This is a set I love, but it's nothing that gets you really super excited. So Or this, it looks like it should be like a case hit, but it's not. Just sort of that a rainbowy foil, a dull rainbow foil. So opportunities were there, and a lot of swings and misses, or missed field goals, or missed the open net, or whatever you want to use for verbiage or terminology. But yeah, it was just a lot could have been done, and a lot wasn't.
What version is that? Was that, Vinny?
Red rubies.
Okay, I thought it was a ruby based on the what I could tell from the design, but I thought I'd ask.
So that's the red, and then the other one was the red rubies, and then the platinum medallion. There we go. See the rainbow? There we go.
Yep, that's a nice looking one too.
Because then you had some of this stuff too, which I think Vinny showed one of the summits, or the Summit Ice, or the Summit Artist Proof.
Yep, ice.
And then score 97, 98 Artist Proof had like the magma foil, or whatever you want to call it. The leaf on 97, 98 Fire on Ice. Any of these types of like the foil that just dance in the light. And there was a lot of them, but I mean, there's give you a few examples. And I think Pacific Omega, their Prism insert in like 98, 99 has another one. What else? There's a Then and Now Pacific, I think Omega as well, that had a real nice the foil background of the current iteration of the player, and then on the back it had sort of a canvasy old school feel with like the player in their rookie year. And that was a nice card too. And again, I think that was one in 73. But you can have them, you can get them for $10 for a star player. So if we were thinking of an insert of that ilk, we put that set together, that would be a set I'd recommend. Maybe that'll be another one for next week. I'll dig out. No, Thornton didn't always look 60. Same with like Brett Burns. Both of them look like they're Methuselah's cousins or something.
Methuselah's cousin. That's old.
They look it.
And obviously, Vinny's still looking for something. Not sure what.
Neither do I.
You're just perusing?
Here's some etching and some foil. So we have some
cool
etching and some embossing. That's exclusives, etched in stone.
There's the game used base. We were talking about those earlier. And then, of course, game used ball. The stadium seat relics. Here's one from Forbes Field, maybe.
So obviously, Dave was doing some digging for some stuff we were talking about earlier.
This is something you don't see very often, but it's sort of a etched embossed type deal for Pacific out of Crown Royal. It's almost like a photo frame, something different.
There's some rainbow foil.
Yep. I call this the palm tree card because it looks like he's behind a palm tree or in front of a palm tree. It's got,
Is that acetate? It almost
No,
looked
it's-
acetate.
it's etched silver foil
Gotcha.
and die cut a little bit. The stars points are all there.
Dave's now finding all the ones we were talking about that we didn't have any examples of early on. And I know we could probably talk about this subject for another hour and a half with other technologies that we haven't touched on. 2:35, Dave. Just keeping track of time for you.
In the same sort of vein as like Sportflex, UC3, the Motion Vision, it's the lenticular style, the jambalaya that basketball made so popular in the 90s.
Very much so.
You can't pick it up because even in person, it doesn't. It's not like, oh my god, it's so beautiful. I like clear stickers where they look misplaced, where it's like just slap them on wherever. There's no design area where you can. That's what I like. And usually, my favorite kind of autograph is when they put the wrong person stickers on that player's card. That makes it all that much better. No, just anything.
I could go multiple ways with that question too. It really boils down to leveraging the right space and the right color combinations. That plays a lot into it. And early on, when they did the trapped autographs on the stickers, if they actually did it right, like the person who was autographing did it right, it just looked clean because it was underneath the card and trapped on a mirror sticker. One of my all-time favorite designs, but a lot of the times that the autographs would be cut off, unfortunately. But it's all about the right use of space, really, from an autograph perspective. I hate stickers. I've always been an on-card guy, but at the same time, it's the design ultimately dictates the ability to leverage the space right. And the ink color does come into play in certain aspects too.
I'd say like an 01, 02 for football, Donruss Classics. Those are some of my favorites. I mean, even with the sticker, it gave you, I wouldn't say enough room because there's people like Stallworth who have big autos, but if you sign it correctly on that sticker, everything looks good. You have that sort of neutral background that might have been foil for the name on the front and like the Donruss Classics logo. But that sticker, everything just, it will look nice.
And the use of the mirror, like I said, the mirror stickers, I think added some context to it.
Or rainbow foil
Yep.
trilogy.
Okay.
Benny's still finding rainbows. So clean though. So
And
clean.
one of the cards that I think when it first came out, yes, Brad. That was I think 01 was sort of like the goldish hue, and then 02 was the blue. I think. Or 03, one of the two, 02 or 03.
Don't get me to lying. I'm not visualizing any of them right now, unfortunately.
I know I've got them, but I think they're upstairs right now, and they're not within arm's reach. I'd say besides jumbo cards, which I'm not a huge fan of, and I mean they serve their purpose for some autographs are nicer on them because people like a Bruce Smith autograph on a jumbo card. That's gonna look nice because he can't go off card or off sticker with it. If he does, it's just criminal. But another jumbo type of card that when they first got introduced, I think everybody wanted them, or at least to see one, because again, you hadn't heard of it. You maybe have thought of it as a kid, putzing around. You put two dummies together, you put two cards together, and you came out with a booklet. I mean, those used to be such an anomaly to see. And then Playbook came out and just pretty much ran it right in the shitter.
Let's go. Sorry. That's usually what I hear when I associate booklets, when people go nuts when they pull one.
Mojo.
That's fire.
Just feeling the vibe of the room. So I think that's everything I had laid out in front of me. I think.
Last rainbow. These Hollow FX. These are like these.
I was gonna say like the SP Hollow View would be another hologram example from like that 94, 95 era.
But you didn't catch the sarcasm, Carlos? Come on now.
There you go, Dave. Hollow View.
That's, yeah.
Yeah, those are love them.
The vibe is the vibe.
Yeah, you gotta take the lock, get that liquid stuff, and move it up. Keep trading up. Yeah, I made the mistake of watching some of those videos again today. I want to watch something on the Philly show. There's nothing out there, so I was hoping to catch our good friend Crypto Griff and see if Ty was with him or Mike O or somebody. And I didn't see anyone, so I wasted another 40 minutes or so. With the fanny pack around your neck and under your arm and man buns and people talking about podcasts because I'm going to start one up because nobody talks about the real shit out there. It's just recycled fluff. And I had a comment typed in and I said, you know what? Nope. Not going to do it. Wouldn't be prudent.
There you go. As we're wrapping up the show, good to see you, Paul. Good to see you. I did mention to everybody that you potentially may not be with us live because of work taking you way up north. It is good to see you, though. Glad you made it where you needed to, at least safely for the day. That is. Hey, Vinny, can you thumb through cards any louder?
Here's one of Davis.
The run for the cup.
Yep.
Yeah, you're
serial numbered.
See the finger? That's for you, Steve.
You're lucky I don't have the ability to mute your butt. Only Dave can mute you. So we're coming up on, we're just over 2:45. As we always do, as we get close to wrapping up the show, kind of position it to the rest of the group. Any other technologies that anybody wants to kind of throw out there that's kind of high on your like list that maybe we didn't cover, just to see if we can pull out some potential examples or anything along those lines. We did touch on a lot of them, and as I kind of said early on, we could probably go another hour and still not really catch them all because there are variations of a lot of them. Before we wrap it up for the evening, give them a few minutes to potentially type in everything. Usually, as you very well know, nobody bothers to bring up anything. Bob doesn't hang out late, so we don't get those thought-provoking questions at the very end, which is always enjoyable. It was usually always like clockwork.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I mean, we didn't go over like the patch cards, but jerseys patches that, again, early iterations. That's what people seem to want, or the logos. I'd say foil, sort of like the '92 Bowman. Yeah, a bunch of those. That stuff really caught folks' eyes. Like the '91 Stadium Club with that gold foil just above the bottom of the card, or I'd go to short prints, but that's just like a photo variation more so than a technology. That's
manufactured scarcity is what that is.
And then serial numbering, that'd be another one. But again, not technology. That's just a different stamp. Same with like the Rockies or the Marlins '93 Tops stamp set, or the '95 Tops football, the Jaguars and the Carolina Panthers factory set. So
I don't know about that one. I know Pacific did the Cardsupials.
Yeah.
Yep. As those. Carlos just threw out there. Yep. I remember those. You had the big one and then the small one.
That's what she said.
Leave it to Dave. We're going to go down the comedy bits now. That's what she said!
Might as well get him out of the way.
Yeah, I don't know about anything that UD would have done. That's something new to me. Because when he mentioned that, that's the first thing that came to mind. What Carlos threw out there was the Cardsupials. Did it a couple of years. Yes, that is an accurate statement, Carlos. He has met his contractual obligations. Absolutely.
They did those time capsules for chronology where it had the little card inside. That's been the latest iteration. I had one sitting here now. I don't know what I did with it.
No, Sanderson, I'm not questioning it by any stretch of the imagination. I just never heard of it. So I'd be interested to see that. I think that'd be kind of cool. Because that means it was early 90s, mid 90s? Because, I mean, the Supials were what, 97 and 98 or 96, 97? I know 97 was one year they had them, I thought.
I think 96 was the first.
Okay. But no, I'd be interested to see something like that because that's different that UD would have done something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd definitely be interested to see that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We're all on Instagram. Vinny always has his there. Dave is at Amish Dave Archer. I'm at the Broncos 79. But it doesn't matter if you send it to one or the other. I'd like to see it though.
Yeah.
Because I'd
to
like
know
to.
the year.
Yeah, because I mean, I'd like to look into it more, just because that's interesting. Because like I said, I always thought that was a Pacific type design element that they brought to the table.
Mm-hmm.
But if there was something done earlier, I'd be interested to see that. That's cool.
And I always wonder if I call it the Dave years. So anything 97, 98 to about 99, 2000, I know absolutely nothing about, because those are the years that he was gone. There's very few cards in that time frame. So I don't know whether to be happy that I'm not chasing mirror golds out of 97, 98, or bummed because I can't chase them.
Yeah, but remember, 97s, at least from my perspective for football, were cheaper than hockey.
97, 98, some rough stuff.
And 97, 98 was normally cheaper than 96, 97, or 96 from a football perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've paid more for my 96s than what I've had for my 97s.
Oh, okay. Yep. That had that little pullout on the side,
Okay.
like there's a tab, and
Okay.
That explains it.
Gotcha. I'm still going to go.
Baseball, too. I want to say baseball had the same type of set.
Yeah, I'm going to do a quick look just to see.
Now that you say that, Dave, I'm thinking of Topps 85 401 had a Bonds that did that.
Yeah. Because it's instead of 4 sharp corners, it's 4 rounded corners.
Yep.
And sort of like the etched foil, I think, and then a little bit of that, the black diamond-ish look.
And I think I may have sent one of those to Alan, the Juan Gonzalez one.
Okay.
So if that's the case, then that definitely does. Yep. I know exactly what that is now. Okay. Yep. I sent the Juan Gonzalez to him. So yeah, now I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, cool design.
Because I think Circa had something not like that, but more of you had the card, it was like more of like the greeting card. It had like the cutout of the player, but then you open it up and had info and stuff on the inside too. All that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, there's such a bevy of different inserts from that time frame. If you can't find something that speaks to you amongst all that creativeness, whether it be the creativity, whether it be good, bad, and different, it's going to be tough to sell you on collecting any sort of cards, because that was the best time because you had the most competition. That's what it was. You had to up your game, or you're going to end up like Pinnacle. You're going to end up like Pacific. So, as unfortunate as it is, when you get away from what you were known for, as Pacific did, they go by the ways of the wayside. Pinnacle, spending a lot of money. That's what they did, and that was their demise. So, but they left an indelible mark on the old hobby. So there's plenty of stuff in their catalog you can unearth, and hopefully this episode has given you a few tidbits, and we'll leave the full, I want to say, list We've given you a huge list. Yeah, unmute yourself, Steve. Yeah, say it. Just say it. What we've given them, the not the verbiage, not the list. What's the word I'm looking for?
Nomenclature, maybe?
That's the word I'm looking for. That word there, what we've given you, should give you a blueprint at least to look. And again, if we start looking at eBay and seeing all these sold listings, we will take credit for that. 100%.
Yes.
Hashtag invest. Hashtag influencers.
Hashtag to the moon.
Hashtag IRP.
Hashtag fanny pack flex.
Hashtag toilet flower cards, rainbows, and unicorns.
There you go. Hashtag train wreck.
Very true. Very true.
So, with that, I'd like to thank everybody for stepping in the chat tonight. Not as busy as usual, but that's okay. Everybody that was here was pretty active, and that's all we asked for. You got opinions, voice them. You have comments, questions, ask them. We're not going to sit there and avoid you, or even if something's negative, we're not going to pass you by like other people. There's negativity in here. There's positivity in here. There's neutrality in here. So this is a place where everybody's welcome. This is a true diverse place where everybody's welcome. Good, bad, neutral. Doesn't matter. So we thank you. Thank you for Vinny stopping in. Busy night, obviously. Made time for us after C's softball game. Always nice.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And any final shots there, Steve?
Nope. No shots. No shots to fire.
So, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. That will let you know when we go on live, 7:05 p.m. Central Standard Time, every Tuesday night. You obviously know where it's at because you're watching right now. Don't forget, PayPal, eCreator, money order, well-concealed cash, Venmo, Zelle,
Cash App,
OnlyFans, Discord, or Venmo. I don't know if I said that at all. I didn't.
our Patreon page.
Cool. Our Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, AOL account, TikTok, Instagram. Anywhere that we can sell our souls for a nickel, we'll do it 10 times over. That's 50 cents. And that's at least one can of Shasta. We thank you. Crypto wallet, there you go, in the description, link below. That's Vinny. That's Steve. I'm Dave. This has been the Instant Revolution podcast. Remember, collecting cards, absolutely wonderful. The friendships you make along the way, that's what this hobby should be about.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.